not for the value or the sum of its part, but because of the story it's wrapped up in. And that is the message that I'm here to bring today. Yes, your information is important. Your data is important. What you know matters. And you know some things they don't know in your audience. I am not negating the value of that. But at that point, it's just data. It's just information. It has no persuasive power on its own until it is wrapped in story.
If you've ever struggled to explain what you do without launching into a 10-minute voice memo, you're going to want to lean in. She believes your voice is your power, and today she's using hers to make an impact. So please welcome the one and only Nikki Groom.
I was going to say, actually, let's just check that those reaction buttons are working. So first of all, I want to know, this presentation is called Impossible to Ignore. Who would like to be impossible to ignore?
That brings to the thing of how do you behave when you're at a conference? One of the biggest mistakes I think speakers make is their greatest skill is after saying, thank you very much, it's been a pleasure. Their greatest skill is getting to the airport 18 minutes later.
Yeah.
I actually have a friend who will take from stage to security, 12 minutes, new record. And they make more money than I do, so God love them. But it's like, maybe if it took an hour and 12 minutes and spent an hour in the hallway, because what I find is people don't raise their hand if there's Q&A. People don't line up anymore to talk to the speaker. But if I go to the break or the meal or the happy hour after me, and I just stand around, before they've seen me speak, they don't know who I am. Nobody talks to me. After they've seen me speak, they're like, yay, let's come talk. And it's those people who, in the course of having a glass of wine with them at the reception, are like, my husband's company. So word of mouth, part of it is, are you hanging out so that you can have a conversation so they get to know you as a person?
Wait, I'm not sure if I understand that question, Liz. Could
They
you ask that?
want to hear you speak again. So I've received feedback from people internally. Do you really want to show that there are some people who scored that they probably want to see you or probably not?
Oh,
And-
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And here's why
I
you
don't know how to message that so that I believe that the testimonials will negate that because you're not the cup of tea for everybody.
Yeah, good news about this, right? So I'll tell you what the good news is, and I'll tell you what the strategy behind it is. The good news is only we, the speaker, care about the probably nots. We're the only one that cares about it. Do you know why? I'm going to tell you why. If you went to Amazon right now and you wanted to buy something, and it had 500 5 stars, 400 4 stars, and 3 3 stars, 2 2 stars, and 2 1 stars, you wouldn't care about the 3 stars and the 2 stars and the 1 stars. You go, oh, almost everyone likes it. That's what I care about. Now, I promise you, the person selling the item only cares about the 3 stars, the 2 stars, and the 1 stars. But the consumer really doesn't, because no consumer believes there's anything that 100% of the population likes. So everyone's savvy enough to know, if you sent me a report with 100% said definitely yes, it's probably BS, because there's no one, and I can tell you this, there's no one on Talkadot. When I say no one that gets 100% definitely yes. No one does, right? If you speak to 3 people, you might get it, right? But if you speak to 100, there's 0 people who get it. So we care about that deeply, and we get concerned, and we think like, oh my gosh, our client. But like, the reality is that's not how clients see things. They see that as honesty and truth. And if anything, just to beat this horse a little bit more, that's a bad analogy. I don't know why people say that phrase, like to beat a dead horse. But to re-emphasize this is that we trust real, we don't trust perfect.
Minutes. Then we're going to go into mastermind time, where each person is going to have about 10 minutes to share something they've been thinking about, working on, need to get a tangle worked out, or just want some extra input on.
Back the curtain for us. Take us behind the scenes and reveal the secret to being unforgettably impactful. And we appreciate people like Mark and other speakers who come to chapters to share and pull back the curtain for us. So help me welcome Mark Brown.
If I ever level up, I'm going to have to be the authority, not relying on someone else to give me information.
So he was impactful by changing the way you felt and thought and prompting you to act almost immediately.
Yes.
Over 30 years, I've learned that the who's and the when's all come down to the how. It's the impact they have on you and me in terms of what we do next. And impact goes far beyond the words someone delivers or their manner on the stage. I know I've been marketed as the stage presence delivery expert. I've learned a few things in 30 years, but I also want to share my heart with you today. Over those 30 years, I've learned techniques to make us impactful on stage and off. And the first key to that is simply being yourself. He was different.
A little bit more. I mean, I'll just do that right now. So Maggie Harlow, our storytelling champion and our Pro Speaker Academy participant, who's going to be live on April 26th, and went to the national event. So just if you got to give your high level, what was the feeling of going to Thrive as a first time member doing that? Maggie, welcome.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. And it feels funny to sort of be a newbie talking about it, but maybe for those of you who haven't gone, it's a good perspective. Someone who's just never been. I really didn't have a ton of expectation. I wasn't intent on taking something away. My hope was that it felt like the Kentucky NSA, a group of people who want you to be successful, who are friendly. And it was definitely that, you know, I mean, right away, Trevor starts, he was my little host. He greeted me outside of the hotel and got me right into the meeting space and immediately start making friends. And it was very entertaining to me because I go to a lot of business conferences and whatnot with leaders and that kind of thing, but it's different with the speakers group, how eager everyone is to help each other. And even in the way of when a speaker is on stage, the audience is a helper. You know, a lot of times you feel like you're kind of pulling the audience along. And I feel like at this event, the speakers in the audience are just as excited. I'll never forget, there was one presentation where they asked us to stand up and they played music. It was in one of the ones we'll talk about, hopefully, is about neuroscience. And he asked us to stand up and music started and immediately everyone in the room was dancing. And it's so funny because you go to a normal person's conference and of course there's always a few people who are dancing, but then there are people who are like, oh no, are we really going to have to dance? And people who are sitting and are like, oh God, I got to get up and dance. This was like all out enthusiasm for learning, for trying, and for being there for each other. So overall, I would say that was really one of the thrilling things, was just the experience of feeling welcomed and among my people. Like, oh, these are my people.
Can I tell you a dirty little secret? Because I'm a pretty open person. I've observed a lot of speakers over the years. I have a lot of conversations with people. And one of the biggest mistakes that speakers make is that they hire a virtual assistant to set up their systems. Those are two different skill sets. The person who can work a system is not necessarily the person who can build a system. Think about that. The electrician you bring to your house to fix certain things may not be able to actually build the infrastructure in a house for that system. It might actually be slightly different, right? So it's very similar. E-speakers. How many of you are familiar with e-speakers? Raise your hand if you've heard of e-speakers before. Okay. How many of you use e-speakers? Not just a listing, but you actually use it. Okay. So in my opinion, it is the most underutilized technology that a speaker can use, and it's the most misunderstood.
If you are on stage and you want to inspire action from your audience, if it's maybe a large crowd, I want you to wear warmer colors, reds, oranges, yellows. These are colors, I'm wearing orange right now, where you want to inspire people to take action. If you think about your favorite fast food places, all of their logos are hot colors because they want you to stop and take action immediately.
Here for you is, we want to consider how we can have human connection in a remote world. The following 6 quotes that are on your screen now are they're quotes about human connection. They're not specific to being remote. As you read through these, which I'll give you a moment to do, which one of these could, are you drawn to, and how would you apply it to working remotely?
So always start from where they are, and then you lead them into your universe. By the way, that thing where I just said, I'm a leadership consultant, but I do leadership in a very different way. The way then to follow that up, this is the way I do it, is I then follow it up verbally with the standard sales letter, the classic sales letter. So the format of a classic sales letter, even Harvard Business Review, I've received sales letters from Harvard that follow this format. And it goes like this. Normally I say, I don't say anything profound. You don't have to write anything down. This you should write down. So, because you'll want to remember this. So the standard, the classic sales letter format is, here's the problem that you're experiencing. And as a matter of fact, the problem's even worse than you thought it was. Here's how people have tried to solve this problem, but those things don't work. Here's how to solve that problem. This is the way. And by the way, I am an expert in that way.
I still work in the banking industry, because that's what I came out of. And when I really looked at my target market, banks did not pay me. There was no money there. But I liked financial services. And what I found was, when I was looking at my top conferences, it was a lot with investment advisors and a lot with insurance and a little bit with credit unions. So I started to move my target market in that direction. And that's why it's so important to take the time and really look at what was fruitful for you. And like, I can get on stages in front of other people, but when I knock it out of the park when I'm in insurance. And it's not because I'm amazing. It is because that is the right fit for me, right? Like it works really well in that,
And then what are the areas that maybe you can follow up after? If you're a national member of the National Speakers Association, you have access to every recording.
We go to the CSP award ceremony, and I brought this up not necessarily as a debrief, but just so you all know that our own Vivian Blade CSP walked across the stage and got her earned her CSP on Saturday night, which was pretty cool.
Second thing to think about is to atomize your awareness. We have, in my estimation, for many years, put the appropriate amount of effort and emphasis on our websites, but the time to branch out is now. For the reasons we just articulated, unbranded search is going to go down. You're going to have less website traffic than you have. I'll say it in a more draconian way, but it's true. Your website will be less important to you today than it was yesterday. It'll be less important tomorrow. A year from now, it'll be even less important. Every day you breathe on this planet, your website will be steadily less important in the success of your business, because people are going to find you in other places and in other ways. Now, I'm not suggesting you don't have a website. I'm not suggesting you don't care about it. I'm just suggesting that it used to be the be all end all, and we got to think beyond that.
I want to begin by thanking again Kentucky, NSA Kentucky leadership. Just a moment ago, Vivian said that I'd done this for a number of years. I think this is the fourth year that we've done this. And the fact of the matter is, this was a brainchild of NSA leadership, not of me. I feel honored to be a part of it, but the presidents and the board of directors over the last several years has seen value in this. And we've had a number of CPAEs from all over the United States that have joined us, and each one has brought unique value, and I'm sure that will continue today. I want you to know that from my standpoint, and I try to acknowledge this as often as I possibly can, I am a product of NSA and NSA chapters. I started my business way back in the 20th century, back in the 1900s. And now, 37 years later, I can say that, and I can say it with great sincerity, that either directly or indirectly, most of what I have learned has come from NSA, from NSA chapters, or NSA members who were so gracious in sharing with me and teaching me what I needed to know about this business. I hope and trust that all of us have that same commitment, that we will continue to have that spirit of Cavett and that we would be willing to share and go forward.
Service members, that then became Warrior Games. I went to England and helped Prince Harry begin Invictus Games. So that's kind of that context. In that time, I was helping other people, primarily Olympic and Paralympic athletes, tell their journey stories, which brings us up to speaking. So I went to the 2012 NSA convention to find a speaker coach to help me with the athletes, to help them tell their journey stories, because I had taken them about as far as I could. So a good coach will always try to find other people who can help do that. Once I got there at NSA, I had found my tribe. I said, this is what I do. This is who I am. And I thought I was a pretty good 7 on a scale of 10 speaker. I left realizing I was a 3 on a scale of 15. And during that time, I saw the CSPs being marched across the stage. And I said, if I'm going to do this, I need a target. And the target was to build out a business to earn the CSP designation, because I knew if I did that, I would have built a business. So accolades are never about accolades for me. It's not about winning the silver medal. It's not about, having a CSP or CPAE. What it is about is the target that we give ourselves to impact our audiences better, to grow ourselves in such a way, to give ourselves access to other voices that can help elevate us and help us rise.
In April, you can do the math. I was 32 when I went to NSA, and I'm a 48-year member, so you can guess how old I'm going to be in April. And
Happy
to
birthday.
still be working, you're not going to get paid for what you did when you were 50 and maybe 60. So it's very much like I did at 32 when I went to NSA and saw the possibility. You make decisions long term. You look at, what do I do now that's going to help me 10 and 15 and 20 years from now? The best advice I would say, it doesn't matter where you are, whether you're a keynoter or whether you're a seminar leader or a coach. Work at, now you understand the different ways you can deliver your expertise.